Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another session on logic development. We have finished with the introduction part. It's time for us to actually solve some problems. In the last session, we looked at various symbols that we can use while we are drawing flowcharts. Today, I'll begin with some simple examples. Believe me, the examples are going to be very, very simple. But there is a reason why I'll be taking those simple examples. The basic idea over here is to make you understand how to write algorithms in form of pseudocode and flowcharts. First, only the representations. But what kind of problems are we planning to solve? Let's talk about the three basic constructs that we had identified earlier: sequence, selection, iteration. So we'll first today focus on the sequence construct. That's the most fundamental kind of logic structures that you can come across. So any program that you talk about will probably comprise of some other logic structure. And the most common logic structure that you will come across is a construct, what we call it as a sequence. So today we'll focus on sequence construct. So let's begin our discussion with the sequence construct. But let's also have a recap or let's touch upon what are the basic logic constructs which are there. So there are these three constructs which are supported by all programming language without any exception. Every programming language will provide this. One is sequence construct, where one after another you will go executing all the instructions. There is a decision construct. So there are possible different course of action that you can follow. So there are branches. You'll either go this side or you'll go that side. That depends upon some condition. Or there is a loop structure, or we also call it as iterative constructs. Loop structure, iterative, so that it will enable you to execute some set of instructions repeatedly. So these are three basic constructs that we have to master. So our entire exercise would be, whatever codes we'll write, is to master these three basic constructs: sequence, decision, that is selection, and iteration, that is loop. So sequence, selection, or we call it as decision structure, and third is iterative, or we call it as a loop structure. So these are three basic structures that we plan to master: sequence, selection, and iteration. Today, we'll primarily focus on the sequential construct, where instructions in your code will get executed one after another. So let's talk here. It performs actions in an order. So there's a predefined order. First do that, then do this, then do that. So all the instructions will be executed in a particular order. So there are no branching, and there is no instruction which will be ever skipped. That means every instruction that you have written will get executed in sequence. So you start from somewhere, then you go to the next instruction. That's a process. Rectangle stands for process. Then the next one, then the next one. So you just keep on executing one instruction after another. So you could also say it's sequence first, then go here, from here, go here, from here, go here. So we are executing the instructions in a sequence. The most commonly used and the simplest logic structure is sequence construct. So today's examples will also be quite simple, but then we can definitely increase the complexity as we go ahead. All problems use sequential structure, and most problems use it in conjunction with one or more other logic structure. That means you will never come across any program in which this sequence construct is not being used. Not a single program in your life. Normally, this sequence is used along with the selection and the iterative construct to express some complex ideas. So sequence is always a part of every program. However large or small program it may be. Programmers who use sequential logic structure is asking computer to process a set of instruction sequence from top to bottom of an algorithm. That means you start from one instruction, then go to the next, then go to the next, and so on. We'll go ahead executing instructions one after another. That's a simple sequence construct that we are talking about. A single process like A is a part of unacceptable structure. So you cannot say I just have one sequence, one instruction like A. No. There will at least be some beginning of the sequence structure. That means this is something which is unacceptable. You'll at least have something at the beginning. You'll at least have something at the end. Okay. So there will be some decisions also at times. Sequence never has decision. Logic never returns to B. So now here, it will never happen that the control goes back. That kind of repetitive structures we are not going to write. We are just focusing on sequence construct. Now, for me, to help you understand what exactly the sequence construct is, let us take some examples and solve them by using the tools that we had. So one of the tools that we had that we had was what I had installed, Draw.io. So let's open up Draw.io, start with it. It says update available. Would like to download and install new version. I'll say okay. It will hardly take any time. Let us have the updated one. Provided it may provide us some new features, who knows. So mine was the earlier one installed. So I'm just updating. You probably will not have to bother much because you must have installed it only yesterday or what it is. So you'll have the updated version. But let me take a moment to update it. I'll give you a problem statement and then we'll go about solving the example. We'll keep the problem statement very simple for the first time. Till the time that it is getting updated, you may please note down the problem statement. So we'll start with simple problem statement and we'll solve it. Okay. So take a simple problem statement. You could very well note down this problem statement. It's a very simple and straightforward kind of problem statement that we have. So till the time it is updating, please note down this problem statement and we'll solve this particular problem and then we'll proceed further. Like accepting principal amount, number of years for which the amount is invested and the rate of interest, and we are supposed to calculate simple interest. So if you, this problem is very, very small. Never in your life you will come across 3 lines problem, or this is only 1 line. But even then we can say its calculation of simple interest could be a definition for us. Okay. So whenever a problem statement has been given to us, we have to first try and define a problem. So the major operation that we plan to do here is calculation of simple interest. But obviously you cannot calculate simple interest unless and until you do not know the amount that you're investing in. You do not know the period for which you're investing. You do not know the rate at which you're investing. So those are my inputs that will go into the system. And what is the output that we would like to generate? The output that we would like to generate is the simple interest. So those 3 basic steps, step 1, step 2, define the problem, understand the requirement, that we have done. It's time for us to design an algorithm. We'll first start with flowchart. They are the simplest one. And then we'll go ahead with serial code. So let us take an example in which we'll try and draw a flowchart for this particular problem statement that we have. Meanwhile, my drive is also almost. So we are ready. Now we would like to draw. So every program has to have, whichever language you write, has to have a start and a stop. Every program has to have a start and a stop. So there should be somewhere where we start and there should be somewhere where we're going to stop. So I'll go to flowcharting symbols and we'll focus on start and stop. So if you look at these symbols, this is a symbol that we have for start. So I drag this particular symbol, I keep it right at the beginning, and it's always better that we specify whether it is start or whether it is stop. It's better that we specify. So I specified it is my start. Tell me if the font size is okay with you all. If you want me to increase the font size, I would increase the font size. So here we are, where we are. And suppose we wanted to increase the font size, I could go to text and we could increase the font size. Suppose this is the size that we'll keep. That's 26 is the font size. Or let's say 20 is the font size that I think that's good enough. 20 font size is good enough. So that's start. Now that we have started, every program should also have stop. Every program should also have stop. But we'll come to stop later. In between start and stop, we would like to perform some operation. Now, if you watch the problem statement carefully, I was thinking about keeping the problem statement in the code itself. So let us also have the problem statement here itself. That doesn't look good. Okay, so what I could do is I could just paste it somewhere and just try and copy it so that that text appears over here. Oh, that's better. So that was the problem statement that we had. So while you refer it later, you'll have something to look at it. So this is the problem statement that we have. I'll increase the font size of the problem statement to maybe 17, 18. That's good enough for anybody to read. So these are the facts which have been given to us. Now we start. So our problem is about this. We also would like to give an name to this particular file. I'll say file, save as, and we'd like to save this particular file. Currently, I would like to keep this file somewhere. I say C colon, somewhere I would like to keep, maybe in my courses, we have course content, and I have some examples here. I'll say examples. I'll call this as examples. In examples, I'll keep this particular file. I'll call this as, it's a problem based on sequence. I'll say SEQ and some name that I like to give. So I'll say it is about simple interest. So tomorrow when we look at it, we should in quickly question to understand. So that's a simple interest problem. So problem statement is here and we have started. Now, as far as the first problem goes, I'll discuss everything with you. So you don't have to be in a hurry. Just watch everything very carefully. The problem said, accept principal amount, number of years for which the amount is invested, and the rate of interest, and calculate simple interest. That means the program is very clearly expecting us to accept some data. Now, accept data and use in the program. So if your program is going to accept data, which we plan to use, you obviously have to make a provision for storage of data in your program. And last time we said we had a concept called as variables. Remember variables? We say it's a named memory location which is used to store values. So if the program is going to accept some data, that needs to be stored somewhere. And to store the data, what we have is a variable. Now, if you plan to use a variable, unlike some languages like Python, where the variable gets created the moment you use it, most of the language expects you to create a variable beforehand. So here, you as a developer, you as a programmer, have to identify what are the various inputs that will come into the program. So there are 3 inputs that are going to come into the program. Because our major idea over here, defining the problem, was calculation of simple interest. So if you have to calculate simple interest, you need 3 inputs. You need the principal amount, you need the number of years, you need rate of interest, and 1 output. So in all, at least 4 variables will require. 3 for storing the input and 1 for storing the output. So we'll have to define those variables. So unless and until you do not define the variables, we'll not be in position to use it. If I click on this symbol, what does it say? Let's see. So let me get rid of this and let us click over here. It says predefined process. So I don't want to do that. It says internal storage. Oh, yes. Then here we had delay. No, there is no delay that I'd like to have. And this is a process. No, this is stored data. Now, this is not a stored data. Here is a terminator where we are going to stop. Okay. So there are various symbols that has been given, which are very commonly used. Parallel mode, off-page connector, on-page connector. Okay. Manual report. This is loop limit. This is internal storage. And this is the database that we are going to have. So these are various symbols that we are going to use. If I want to give some annotations, this is a card, this is a collate. We'll come to this. This is data display. Okay, there are so many different symbols that we have. So many different symbols that we have. Direct data, delay. Okay, currently, I would like to have some variables that I plan to define. Now, tool to tool, some notations here and there can slightly change. While this was a predefined process, this is a variable. So if I want to use this variable, I have kept this particular variable, but I definitely want to connect this. What I'll do is I'm on start, and what do I want to have? Do I want to have this? Do I want to have a round which stands for on-page connector? No, I would like to have an internal storage. So if I take an internal storage over here, and I say, okay, that's what I would like to connect to. So I put across a line saying that is where I want to connect. So I could just make this line straight, need not have been here. I could just say straight line, center, automatic. I could increase the thickness of the line, spacing, left, right, bottom, whatever it is. So we could increase the thickness of the line. Where is it? Points.
Sir, can we use arrow instead of line?
That's an arrow that we used. Look at that. Just a line is
This
not
line, na? Okay.
No, it's arrow.
Okay, sir.
You cannot just put a straight line because it has to indicate the direction from where the data is flowing. So unless until you do not put the direction, I'm just checking on the points where we can increase the font size or the thickness of the line and so on. I'm just checking that. But then this, you could definitely, you need to have a line. So here is what I'm selecting a line. I'm just checking out from where we can decide upon the thickness of the line. From where we can check on the thickness of the line. So here I go. So there is a line that we have. This comes right in the center. Now here, in this particular symbol, we are going to define all the variables that we have. Now in this program, I plan to have number of variables. So what all variables do we need to have? Let's try and define the variables that we like to have. So here it said internal storage. So in the program, internally, somewhere we'd like to store some data. So we have to define some variables. First variable is principal amount. So a lot of people, just by looking at the formula, they'll say P. But how would somebody else who's looking at the code will understand what is P? That's very difficult to understand. So instead, we'll say it's principal amount. Now, if it is principal amount, let's say so. So I'll rather say over here, P, I could say P amount, that is also readable or understandable. Okay, but just saying P would not be good enough. Principal amount, P amount, something like this would actually make some sense. So I say PRIN CI, okay, CI, PLE, principal AMT. So I just use the word principal AMT is what I'm trying to say. So that's a variable that I have created. But every variable has a type. It would have been appropriate if it has specified the type of the variable as well. So here when I'm creating this variable, it's of type numeric. So I'll say numeric principal amount. So I have taken amount called as principal amount. Look, I'm saying principal underscore amount is what I have said. Let me also increase the font size and let me increase the size of this particular box as well. So there is no harm. We can just increase and I'll try and keep it in the center. So we have numeric principal amount. That's the first variable that we have defined. We also would like to store number of years and rate of interest. So I would like to store number of years as well. So this is principal amount. Next to that, I'd like to store number of years. Okay. So let's store number of years as well. So here I go. It says enter the property name. That was one variable that we have defined. Okay, principal amount. And then I say numeric. I'd like to have number of years. Okay, so I just say years. That's understandable. And then we also had rate of interest. So I say numeric interest rate.
Sir,
Interest rate. So we have defined three variables right now. We have defined three variables that we require. And all these three variables are of type numeric. All these three variables are of type numeric. Numeric principal amount, numeric number of years, numeric rate. So I have created three variables. But we would also like to calculate simple interest. That's an output that we'll be having. Just coming to you, Vijay. But before that, let me define one more. Numeric, I say I have simple interest. So I have made provision for storage of all inputs and output. So whatever input and output we want, for that we have made a storage. One is principal amount that we needed. Maybe I misspelled it. Principal amount, numeric years, numeric rate of interest rate, and numeric simple interest. So these are four variables that I need in my program. So we have created these four variables. Yes, Viraj, what is the question?
sir, can we create 4 different shapes for that?
Different?
Shapes, sir, those under flowchart.
That means four different symbols for each variable?
Yeah, symbols, yeah.
Yeah, we could do that, but that was sheer waste of time. We could actually represent, it is allowed to represent in one box. We can actually write more than one variables. So we have defined these four variables here. Principal amount, numeric years, numeric rate of interest, and numeric simple amount. So we have defined four variables over here. Okay, and let's save this particular file that we have created. I'm just going to save this file since we have made some changes. So I have defined these variables. We'll also see later what happens if I put across everything in separate blocks. We'll see. I'll show you some interesting things out of this as well. So currently we have created four variables. Three of them are for input and one is them for output, in which you're going to store the result. Now, if you watch the question very carefully again, the question said, accept principal amount, number of years for which the amount is invested, and the rate of interest to calculate simple interest. That means you are required to accept the three values: principal amount, numeric years, and rate of interest rate. So we'll be asking the user to enter the data. We'll ask the user to enter the data. Now, if I'm going to ask the user to enter the data, what I would like to have here. Now here, I'd like to have some input output symbols that I'll be using. So I would like to give a message to the user first. Okay, I would like to give a message to the user. And this is what I would like to use. Parallelogram. Okay. It's my output. Okay, what message I would like to give. So it's the same symbol I'm using. I'm using this particular symbol. I'll increase the font size. We decided to keep the font size as maybe 20. What was the font size over here? 16. So let's keep it as 16 only. Okay, I'll show you how to make it permanent also. And whatever message you would like to give. So here I would like to give a message saying, please enter the principal amount. So I have given a message saying, please enter the principal amount. And note, this entire message I have put across in a parallelogram. This entire message I have put across in a parallelogram. And I'll just keep it exactly in the center. But this message is not meaningful. You may be wondering what is not so meaningful in this particular message. So when I say output, please enter the principal amount. How does the user know that amount that I plan to enter should be in dollars, should be in paise, should be in the rupees? So when you give a message to the user, make sure there is no scope for any confusion that to exist. So somebody may be investing in dollar and somebody is investing in rupees, and it would be like 80 times what you invest in rupees. So be sure that whenever you put some values or something, don't forget to mention the units of measurement. So I'll say, please enter the principal amount in rupees. So I'm very clear as to what is my unit of measurement. So I said, please enter the principal amount in rupees is what we have given a message as. So there's a very clear message that we are given output. Rather, we don't even have to say the word output. In this particular symbol, if you see anything in double quotes, that's always an output. That's always an output. If there is no double quotes, it's an input. So here we are, and we have created this. We are asking the user to enter the principal amount, and user has probably entered the amount. Now, if user enters this principal amount, then we would like to accept it. So to accept again, we are going to use the same symbol. The same symbol is usually used to represent input and output both. So I'm going to use the same symbol for this data once again. Here I go. I'm going to have the same symbol. And this time around, I'll just mention the name of the variable that I plan to store inside this. And the variable that I plan to use over here is the principal amount. So I say principal amount is a variable that I've created. And size is again 16 for us. So what have we done? We have created a variable. We gave a message to user, please enter principal amount. Whatever, and in rupees, whatever value that user entered, we have accepted in the variable called as principal amount. But likewise, we have to also accept number of years and rate of interest. These are additional things that we have to accept. So I copy this and I just want to extend the logic because it's almost the same kind of code that we have to write. I'm just continuing and I'll not take much time to complete it. We shouldn't be drawing just a straight line. It should be an arrow that we are supposed to draw. Okay, it's an arrow that we are supposed to draw. So it looks like the arrow has become too big. Let us connect it and see. Yeah, that's one arrow. We are asking the user, next thing that we'll ask the user to enter is number of years. Please enter number of years for which the amount is invested. Please enter the Simply enter the investment period in years. Now, what is the investment period is, what is the investment period that will now be entered, that like to store over here. So instead of principal amount, we'll have now here our variable called as years. Now we have also accepted the years. Now we have accepted the principal amount, we have accepted the period, we have accepted the period in the variable called as years. This variable could have been small, like box could have been small, don't really need that bigger box. Okay, so we have represented years. Now, after accepting years, third is rate of interest is what we have to accept. So we'll also accept a rate of interest. So accept rate of interest. I'm just saving my time that are otherwise wasted in typing the things. Since this feature is available, I'm just copy pasting the message. You could type it again if you are writing in a notebook. Strongly recommend you to use this tool. Now, principal amount ke baad we had rate of interest. So here I say, please enter the rate of interest. Okay, I'll say in percentage. So it's like 12%, 13%. What is the rate of interest? So what is the rate of interest? We like to accept that rate of interest. Okay, we like to accept the rate of interest. So I'm going to accept the rate of interest. Principal amount ke baad interest rate. So I cannot change the name of the variable. We'll have to be consistent with the names of variables that we use. Okay, so I say interest. What is the name of the variable? So we have accepted principal amount, years, and interest rate. Now we are supposed to calculate. Calculation is a process. Here we have accepted creation of variable is also like a process, but now here it's more like a calculation that we are going to do. So process is represented by a rectangle or a square, whatever it is. So here we'll do the calculation. What calculation we plan to do now? Here we would like to do the calculation of simple interest. So we're going to calculate simple interest. So I say simple underscore interest. Actually, I'm supposed to use arrow, but that's difficult for here to represent. So I'm just saying equal to, but that's not something which is recommended. It's recommended that we rather use arrow to specify what we actually want to accept. But since I don't have an option over here, I'm putting it as equal to. So I'm saying simple interest is equal to, we have already accepted principal amount. So what is the principal amount that you have accepted? So that variable we want. We had a variable called as principal amount that we are supposed to multiply. Multiply with what? The multiply could just say cross with the period PNR, number of years that we would like to multiply with rate of interest rate. I say interest rate. So you have multiplied these three things to calculate your simple interest. So that was my process. Simple interest is equal to principal amount into number of years into interest rate. So once we get the simple interest, we would like to display the simple interest. So if I have to display the simple interest, again we go ahead. But this time around, my statement will be slightly different. I say simple interest is and double. Say it's input or output, because for input and output, you are using the same symbol. Now, how do I differentiate between input and output? Note, when I give input, there are no double quotes. Whereas when I give output, there is double quotes. Although there are double quotes over here, whatever is the message that I give and should get displayed as it is. But in addition to the message, the value that we have calculated should also get displayed. So that value that we have calculated, which we expect it to be displayed, will return outside this. So I'll say simple interest. So simple interest is, what's the unit of measurement? I'll say rupees, so and so. I'm going to say simple interest is so and so rupees. That is the message that we have now displayed. Simple interest is rupees, so and so. Now, after all the things have been done, it's time for us to stop the program. Now, to stop the program, while this was start, we have another symbol, terminator, to specify it's a stop. It is also okay if I use similar symbol for specifying start. That's also okay. But now here, since they have given us a differentiator, let's use that symbol to specify its stop. Okay. So a lot of times I say, okay, it's okay to use this symbol for start and stop both. But since there is a slight differentiation that they have highlighted over here, let's use it. So this was start and this is stop. So now this is my flow chart which I have created. So we start with this code somewhere. So program starts. Then we create some variables, simple interest, principal amount, years, interest rate, simple interest. Note how I have defined the variables. Note the way I have defined the variables. When there are more than one words, I have joined those two words by using underscore. Then years, interest space ki jagah interest underscore rate, simple underscore interest. Variable names should be meaningful. So I have created scenario where all my variable names are meaningful. I could also decide upon which side they should be represented and so on. Can I adjust the center automatic writing direction, spacing left? This looks good. Okay. So I have variables like principal amount, years, interest rate, and simple interest. So these are four variables that I have gone ahead creating. These are four variables that I have created. Then we prompt the user, please enter principal amount in rupees. That's the prompt. That's a message that we are given to user. Look at this message, user enters some value. So whatever value that user enters gets stored inside this particular variable called as principal amount. Gets stored in this variable called as principal amount. So while this was output, this is input. Note in output, we have put these double quotes. In input, there is no double quote. Then we ask the user to enter the period of investment, and that too in years. The user enters some period of investment, that too in years. So that has been accepted. Once that years have been accepted, so two inputs we have received. Okay, then the third input, enter the rate of interest. Okay, what is the interest rate that we have to accept from the user? So we are now accepting the interest rate. Once we have accepted the interest rate, then we have accepted the interest rate. Then we want to calculate simple interest is equal to principal amount into years into simple interest into interest rate, and that gives us a simple interest that we would like to display. So I say the simple interest is rupees, and then I say simple interest. So that's how I've gone ahead displaying the final result as well. So we have now successfully, just give me a second. We have successfully gone ahead accepting and displaying the result and we have represented this in form of a flowchart. So flowchart, every program should have one start and one stop. All the variables that we need in the program have to be defined right at the beginning. So we have defined the four variables, 3 for input, 1 for output. We prompt the user to enter the data, whatever data that they like to enter. So that's a message. The message should be very clear without any ambiguity. Then we have accepted the value, input. Then we again display the another message. We accept the input. Display the third message. We accept the input. And then we do the calculation. After doing the calculation, we like to display the result. So for displaying the result, we have made a statement saying simple interest rupees so and so, and we have stopped. So that's how we have created a flow chart for the first problem statement that we have. Any questions? Please ask before I ask you to do something on your own.
यहाँ पे कांस्टेंट भी डिपेंड करना होगा ना, तो हमें
Any questions that you have?
सर हमें वो सिंपल इंटरेस्ट को डिवाइडेड बाय 100 करना है ना.
Correct. Now that's a logical mistake that has been committed. Very good. So the Bhagesh is the only one who is watching it very carefully. It's a logical mistake, and logical mistakes are very difficult to identify. This became principal amount into years into interest rate. If that was the way to calculate simple interest, I would have always invested amount in your bank. You will become millionaire over a few days. So we'll have to take this particular value and make sure that is divided by 100 so that there are no logical mistakes. That was a logical mistake. That means mistake in the entire logic, you had only multiplied. Whereas the formula that was given was very clear. It was PNR divided by 100. So you have to be very, very watchful while you're solving these examples and see that you do not commit any logical mistake. So that was a logical mistake that was committed, and Bhagesh has correctly identified that mistake, and we have calculated the simple interest correctly, and we are getting the answer. Now we said we should do a dry run for this. Now this was a very simple and straightforward question. Say if I invest 100 rupees at the rate of 10% for 2 years, so it will be 100 into 2 into 10 divided by 100. And then we can actually check whether we get the expected answer or not. So there is hand run was very simple over here. There is nothing. One line will get over. But sometimes the logic is more complex and we have to spend some time doing the hand run on our own. So this was the first example that we had to solve. Now, since all of you have a tool, I'm just sharing this particular file with you. And once I share this file with you, what you are going to do is you're going to solve the next assignment for me. And the next problem will be up solve karoge. This is what I have solved, but now you will solve the next one. Anybody has any question before that? Let me know. Anybody has any question before that?
No, sir, just share file on WhatsApp also.
No. Why on WhatsApp?
I have joined from mobile and practicing on laptop.
I'll share on this thing as well. Okay. Here we go. Sharing this file with you all now. But how to open up this file? Let me also show you that since you all are working on for the first time. So I'll first say save. So I saved it. Oh, I'm going to save it. So I say save. It's file. So you can open it anywhere actually. But I'm going to export it as an image file. And when you submit, you're also going to do the same thing. You're going to export it as JPG or SVG file. I'll put it across as an SVG file, which is very high quality image that you'll get. So I'll say it's a diagram, transparent background. Let's take no shadows. I don't know how it will be. No links, nothing. Here I go. I just say export. Now, moment you say export, it's asking you where to store this file. I'll save in examples. And it's an SVG image that we're going to have. I say save. Now, once we save, I'll have this SVG image that will get stored, examples, and you could just double click and see that particular thing. Is that right now? Likewise, you could just see at the regular size only, because it is getting affected if I'm increasing the size. But then, interesting, how is it getting affected? Okay, at the original image level color, I'll also save it as a PDF file. So we should not have that difficulty. So I'll say file, export as, I'll also give it as PDF and export. Save. And hopefully this PDF will not get distorted if I increase or decrease the size. So here we have a PDF file. It's good enough. So that's the solution that we have come with. That's the solution that we have. So I'll give you 2 minutes to have a look at this solution. I'm sharing this particular solution with you right now. At it. Any questions? Please ask. I'll share both the files with you.
Sir, that rectangle was different now, process module.
Process is rectangle, yes.
Sir, but it had inner lines also.
Which one you're saying? No, that I have not told you. This one you're saying? This one you're saying?
Yes, sir.
No, don't use that. Use this right now. This is one which will come later. Thoda sa advance hai, that will come later. This is the one that I have to use right now. Yeah, we fill use. Is that okay? When to use this, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, sir.
I shared the file with you all. Just have a look at the file. Has everybody received the file? Received the file?
Yes, sir.
Click कीजिए जल्दी से. Hey, tell me whether you have received the file or not. Shashwat, Shreyash, Ankita, Anit, Shashwat, have you received the file? Shreyash?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Tick mark करना है अगर हो चुका है तो. Okay. Now, anybody has any question? Okay. So if there are no questions, have a look at the second assignment. I will also solve, but I will not solve with you. I will solve it separately. But now read this question carefully and make a serious attempt to solve this particular question. Have a look at this particular problem statement. Second problem statement that we have. Zoom. Here I go. This is the problem statement that you have. Take this problem statement and solve it. What is the problem? Now, don't be in a hurry to solve it. Huh? Don't be in a hurry to solve it. Have you all noted the problem? Just let me know yes or no. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So have you all noted the problem? Anybody remaining?
Yes.
No, sir.
Don't start solving it. Hold on. Do something now. Okay. Is now. Shashwat, you are yet to write the problem? Or have you finished?
Finish, sir. Now.
Finished. So what I'm going to do now, there is a small, a bit of time that I'll give you. Unless until you do not understand the problem, there is no point in going ahead. Correct. So I'm going to divide all of you into some groups. So I'm going to put you across in various groups. So you will first discuss among yourself what exactly the problem is. Listen to me very carefully. Yeah. If I understood, share with your friends what have you understood. Get it discussed first. And once you all are clear as to what is to be done, then start solving the problem on your own. Even if you solve in your own group, I'm okay with that as well. I don't mind, but I want a separate answer that you have to submit. So it could be like somebody amongst you can share, discuss what is to be done. All those things can be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give all of you time. Say it's like 20:52 right now. I'll give 5 minutes to discuss. So try and discuss with each of all of you in a group and understand what exactly the problem is and how it should be solved. And then individually you could start representing the solution. So you have now 5 minutes for discussion. So I break you into 3 groups. Each group containing 3 people. Today there are only 9 attendees. So 3 in each group. Discuss and then tell me after that, have you understood the problem? And then start solving the problem.
You're one of them.
No, I am one of them. No? So I will not come into the group. Don't worry. Okay, randomly, whichever group I am, I will not discuss with you. Okay, so some groups will have 3 and one group will have 2 people. So first group is Monica, Rahul and Shreyash. Second group is Bhagyashri, Prithviraj and Rohit. Third group is Shashwat and Viraj. So what I'll do is, I'll just change some names. First group is Monica, Rahul and Shashwat. Second is Bhagyashri, Prithviraj and say, okay, I'm doing it randomly. Yes. So I have created some random groups. Have a look at it, discuss the solution and then start solving. Yeah? You have gone into the rooms. You are not in any room?
I was in Prithviraj's room and I by mistakenly got in Bhagyashree room.
You are in room number, what room number you are in?
My group was with Prithviraj.
What happened?
I was with Prithviraj group and you put me in Bhagyashree's room.
Into some other group.
Yes,
You still not gone, join that group. Again out?
yes, sir. I am again. I don't know, sir. I automatically came.
Are you coming out of leaving the rooms?
I am not leaving room. First, I had left the room that was room number 2 because I didn't belong there. But after that, I
Join the group. I am again sending you to group 3. Why are you not joining? Everybody should keep the cameras on. Then only it makes it more interesting. So keep your cameras on while you're discussing. You all have 2 more minutes to discuss before we stop, and we'll understand what your ideas are. Or I'll come to each of your group and I'll try and understand what you're trying to do. That 50 rupees 50, the last statement that we are given, that is only for testing purpose. Watch everybody. Test the solution with its original price as 50 rupees. So you could take 50 as a sample value and then expect what is the result that we are getting. So 50 was only a test scenario. You could take 100 as a test scenario. So don't get bogged down with that concept of 50 rupees. It is only meant for testing, nothing more than that. So when you're in breakout rooms and when you have a chance to discuss with your colleague, make sure whatever comes to your mind, share. You may be right, you may be wrong, but you need to discuss what is coming in your mind. You need to talk to with your team members. If somebody gets it right, but don't hesitate to ask questions. Don't hesitate to come with your own ideas and let it be challenged by your friends. How does it matter? But this entire exercise is only to build your ability to not just express your logic on a piece of paper, but also convey it the same to your friends as well. If you cannot explain it to your colleagues and you don't have that confidence, then how are you going to give a presentation in front of your seniors tomorrow? Correct? So it's an opportunity for you to work on your communication skills as well. Can we express it correctly? Can we put into right words and so on? So I found team one gave me a better answer than the others. So team one, can you repeat as to what have you decided to go about? How you have decided to go about solving this problem? Yes, Shashwat. What is that your team has decided? Shashwat,
Yes, sir.
what was the idea that your team decided?
Sir, first we start with the start option only. Then we take the internal storage and give values to original price, sale price, and discount price. Then we take data and we need to please enter the original amount in rupees. And then again we get the original amount from the user. Then we in data we write discounted price is equal to original price minus 25%. And then we in data we write
25% of what?
sorry,
Original price
Of
minus
original
25%.
price.
25% of original price. Correct.
original price, and then
Okay.
sale price and stop the.
Very good, very good. So let's go ahead solving this particular problem in our draw.io. So here is the problem statement once again. And this was last statement was only meant for a basic idea about you are saying only for testing purpose, nothing more than that. So this was the problem statement that was given to us. Let's go to draw.io. Let's start with a new diagram. Chart. So we create one. We put across this problem statement right at the beginning. It is text and we decide to keep font size as 16. I'll keep it as 16, font size is 16. And design. So first we start. Okay, can help me if anything that you have to tell me if I make some changes, something which is not right. So we say it is start. Spelling mistake. So we say start. Once we have started, we'll have to define some variables. So that symbol was meant for defining variables. Huh? So we don't want process. Even if I use process, that's okay, because defining a variable is also a kind of process, So that could have also been done. But instead, what I'll do is I'll use this variable that has been given away. Symbol that has been given. That's more appropriate. So I use this symbol. And if you watch the problem statement carefully, it very clearly says, write a solution to accept original price and calculate the sales price. So original price and sales price are two variables that I definitely need. Original price and sales price are two variables that I definitely need. So we need to now take up these two variables right away first. Okay. So let's talk about these two variables first. First variable that I'll have is of type numeric. numeric, and that's original price. Second variable that I would like to is again numeric, and that's sales price. To have is the discount, because we are saying sweater is at the for sale at for 25% of the original price. So the discount rate is 25. So I say numeric discount rate, and discount rate has a value of 25%. That's a rate. Now note, I have created this variable discount price, but I have defined this particular variable in uppercase. Now there is a reason behind why am I doing so. Why did I define that particular variable in uppercase? Rest all variables were defined in small case, whereas this is the only variable that I defined in uppercase. The reason for that is very obvious, because throughout this lifetime of this program, we really do not plan to change the value of this variable. Now, since we do not plan to change the value of the variable, there was no need for us to have this variable whose value can change. Now we would rather like to define a variable whose value will not change. But anytime if you want to define a variable whose value will not change, we define it as constant. So by defining a variable constant, we're saying, oh, this is a variable whose value we do not plan to change. So this is a variable that we have created whose value we do not plan to change. Either you write in caps, and the best choice would have been if I said numeric constant. If I said constant, that would have been much better. So anybody who looks at this particular code will understand throughout the life of this program, the value of discount rate is not going to change because it is fixed, it is given, it is constant for us. And what is the constant? It says, okay, it's 25%. So that's a constant value that is there. So it would have been best if I define a numeric constant. So likewise, we have now created 4 variables. So anytime you in a program, if you're going to come across a variable whose value is not going to change, always put it into upper caps. Numeric constant discount rate is equal to 25. So we have defined that variable in uppercase. So these are variables that we have created. Now, once we have created variables, it's time for us to go ahead accepting the value. Some of you also told me, sir, I create a variable called as discount. Numeric discount, maybe amount. One is discount rate, and whereas the other is discount amount. How much is the amount that I'll give as a discount? So there is a discount amount that is there. The original price, sales price, discount amount were variables that we did not initialize. Whereas discount rate is the only variable that we have initialized. That's the rate of discount. Okay. Now, when it is a rate of discount, it's 25% means 25 divided by 100. So 25 divided by 100. So I could define this discount rate as 0.25. So that could have also been done 0.25, 25 divided by 100. So that could be 25% discount. So I could define such a variable like this as well. So we have discount rate is a variable that we have defined. Now that we have defined this required number of variables, it's now time for us to go ahead accepting data from the user. So the next data that we plan to accept from the user is like the original price, because that's the only input that we are allowed to accept. The question very clearly says to accept original price. So we'll now accept the original price from the user. So I put in double quotes and I say, please enter. I could ask the user, what's the price of the sweater, original price of the sweater? Except the original price. So I'm saying, please enter the original price of sweater in rupees. Now this units is something which is very important, and you'll only understand the significance of what I'm saying when you actually go ahead writing programs in industry, because they will not accept things where there is an ambiguity. Every message that you give should be clear, no ambiguity at all, no confusion at all. So that's your duty to make sure that there is no confusion. And note, I have put across in double quotes. All variable names I'm putting across in double quotes. Statements I'm putting across in double quotes. So I have these variables that have been created. Okay, so these are, first we have defined the variables. Then we have asked the user to enter the original price of the sweater. Now, if its original price is what we would like to enter, so user is going to enter that original price. So let's accept into a variable, and that variable name that we had was the original price. That was a variable called as original price. So we have accepted the original price from the user. Now that we have accepted the original price, it's time for us to calculate. Correct? It's time for us to calculate. What are we supposed to calculate? The sales price. But for us to know the sales price, you have to do some calculations. So I now use process. Okay, so here is what we have, a process. Okay, so there is all the calculations in the world that I want to do. So in this particular process, we start with the calculations. So I could write more than one calculations in one line. Huh? So first I would like to do a calculation to calculate what is the discount amount. So I say discount is equal to price into discount rate. Discount rate has been put in all uppercase. Huh? There is a strong reason why am I doing so. If you don't understand, please ask. Constant means something whose value we do not plan to change while the entire program is running. So throughout the lifetime of the program, a variable whose value we do not plan to change has been defined as constant. So गलती से उसकी value change नहीं होगी. That's fixed. Because we said there are different types of variable. One such variable is constant variable whose value does not change. And in almost all programming language, constant variables are defined in uppercase. So I said constant rate, that's in uppercase. Note the difference in the way other variables have been defined. Now discount amount has been calculated. After we have calculated discount amount, it's time for us to calculate the sales price. We say sales price is equal to the original price minus discount amount. Now we have calculated the original price. What was our final objective? But we should also be displaying the same to the user. So we now display the message. What does it say? Calculate the sales price. The sales price is rupees 1,000. Sales price. Now that we have calculated the sales price, we have displayed the result. It's time for us to stop. Now, if I have to stop, I'll allow you to use appropriate symbol. So I said terminator. So there is where I will stop. And here I'll say stop. Actually, the symbol itself indicates stop. So we don't really have to bother much, but you could still use the right symbol and say stop over here. One is start, another is stop is what I said. So we have completed that particular code that we have. And just have to draw an appropriate line connecting this. So that was a simple problem solution to our problem that we are facing. So we have created variables: original price, sales price, discount rate. That's a constant for the first time we are seeing. Then discount amount. All these are numeric variables. Then we ask user, please enter the original price of sweater in rupees. User enters the price. Using this price, we can multiply it by discount rate to calculate discount amount. From the original price, we subtract the discount amount to get the sales price, and we display the sales price. Now tell me, have you understood this particular solution that we have come across? So I'll call this as SEQ sequence, and that is for sales price. Just to remember what that example was all about. I'll export it to all of you. I'll export it as PDF that was easy to read. All of you take this particular file and let me know if you have received it. I'll receive this PDF file.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You will have the solution right with you. Yes, have you all received the file? Raj? Viraj?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead with for one more breakout room, the problem that we are going to discuss. But this time around, you should get it right. Huh? So while the problem statement is shared with you, you can quickly take a snapshot of that particular problem statement, or I'll paste it in your each of your group room as well again. So quickly take a snapshot of this particular problem. I break you out in the rooms. Take a snapshot of this problem. Still not visible?
Sir, don't add Megha Desai's account into breakout room. This is me joining from another account also, from laptop to download the file.
Have you all got the problem statement?
Yes.
Take a snapshot, everybody. Anyway, I'll give this problem statement again in your group. We again break out into groups, may not be the same groups, but then discuss and go about solving this particular problem. Would you like to have the same groups or different groups?
Same.
Your choice, sir.
Pardon?
Your choice.
Let's be the same group today. Okay, so that you will get to know each other also as you discuss, but keep on your cameras on while you discuss the things. So I am opening all the rooms. Please join the rooms. Now listen, friends, this problem is slightly more lengthy. So you have to define the problem first. If you don't define the problem, it will be difficult. So make sure while you go ahead attempting to solve the problem, follow all the steps that we have taken. Define the problem. Understand the requirements. What are the inputs? What is the output? In what format the output has to be given? And then think about idea as to how you can solve the problem. But don't forget to define the problem first. I shared with you 10 problem statements. I have received that file, out of which 2 or 3 we just now discussed. Now it is your duty to draw flowchart for all of them and be ready for the next session. So tomorrow when you come in this draw.io, you're going to draw a flowchart. Create a PDF file out of it, the way I have been exporting it, and be ready to compare with the solutions that we'll take up. So I'll open up each one of your files and we'll do an analysis. We'll discuss what is right and what is not. Okay. So this was a small exercise for us to understand how to solve problems based on sequence. What we saw is the flow, how to represent. Only flowchart. We did not write a pseudocode today. Then we understood a concept of constant variables, variables whose value will not change. We also understood messages have to be complete with all units of measurement, rupees, paise, whatever you have to say. Every output will be in double quotes. Every input will be without quotes. So those are the things that we have understood or discussed today. Now tell me, how was your experience about breakout? Does it help? Does it not help?
Helps a lot, sir.
It helped.
Helps.
It has helped.
Yes, sir. It
So
has.
we actually have to discuss, because at the end of the day, we are going to work in teams. So unless and until we don't build that particular habit of working in team, it would not be much. So Rohit, that I can see your code. Please enter distance in kilometers. No, that's not right. Okay. You're asking the end user to enter distance in kilometers and you have already taken average. How can you assume average? There is no way we can assume what is an average. Okay, so think twice again. So Rohit has tried to solve that example. And in this example, he has assumed the average kilometer is like average of his vehicle is 10 kilometers per liter. Now, we cannot make that particular assumption. Do we? Does the problem statement demand give you an opportunity to make that assumption?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
क्या बात करें?
इधर लिखा था सर, she knows the price of gas per liter and average kilometer travel per liter.
So she knows, then you cannot make assumption. You will have to ask her. Is it fixed? Is it like 25% like what was given in the last example? Sweater discount. Is it fixed? Pardon?
No, sir.
No.
I thought that she must know the average.
No, she knows that. Is it given to us? 25 hai kya, 10 hai kya? How can you, where did you come with that value 10?
No, sir.
She knows, so we
Assumption,
have to
sir.
ask. And if you have to ask means it will have to come as an input. Okay, so that's a correction that you could make. Anyway, you have enough of chance, but I want all of you to use that draw.io. Okay, and using that particular application, we have to draw it because it should appear neat and clean. So make use of that tool, come up with a solution for discussion that we'll be taking tomorrow. I plan to take some quite an advanced kind of examples also tomorrow anyway. But for that, basic requirement क्या है? ये examples आप solve करके आइएगा. So if you come with these particular examples, then I can actually, and if you are comfortable with this, I can increase and go to level 2 of the problems. So we can take level 2 problems so that you will later understand how, what do you say, how complex problems can also be represented by using flowcharts and pseudocode. So currently we are taken only flowchart. Tomorrow, for the solutions that you will come up with, I'll draw 1 or 2 flowchart pseudocodes as well. I'll write pseudocodes so that you understand how to work with those pseudocodes. Okay. So tell me your takeaway for today's session. Bhagyashree, let's start with you.
How to deal with problems.
Looks like there is issue with Bhagyashree's audio. Viraj, let's start with you.
Sir, the entire flow structure and that input output symbol where when you put a output, it comes with a double quotes, and when it is an input, you don't put that.
Yeah.
And sir, that was the main thing for me.
Okay.
Understanding. And also the we can't make any assumptions.
Cannot make any assumptions. Okay. Plus, Prithviraj, also note, if you're creating variables whose values you know, and that's not going to change, then it is constant. So you have to also specify the type of data. We said every data has a type. So when you create variables, we are also supposed to say it's a numeric data, If I'm going to accept somebody's names, I'll say it's an alphabetic data or character data or a string, I can say. So you have to make an very clear definition as to what is the type of data. Don't just create variables, also specify the type of the data. Remember the previous examples, we said numeric, we had said. If it's string, say string. If it's a single character, say character. But make sure that you also specify the type. Okay. Monica?
Sir, very first thing is that how to apply logic. First, you have to understand the problem, what we need to get out of it. And one more thing, sir, I have already watched the videos of yours of previous logic sessions, but you have means you have shown us how to do it by flowchart method in this session. So it is really helpful because in earlier session, I'm not able to write anything on a paper, but right now I'm able to write and also predict with the different solutions, assumptions.
Yeah. But things will only improve if you start solving them. So it is very
Yeah.
important that you actually start solving the things. Okay, just understanding is not enough. Solving is something
Yes,
which
sir.
is very important.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ruturaj? Ruturaj, are you there?
Yes,
Yes. Tell me your takeaway.
takeaway would be step-by-step process, how it's required to solve the problem, and you cannot skip any steps, you cannot make any assumptions. Yes,
What was your experience about the breakout room?
the breakout room it was a good experience. Helped me communicate with others. Helped me communicate with others.
Rahul?
Yes, sir. So for me, it is variables. That variable should be meaningful
Correct.
according to the problem,
Correct.
and the input output. Actually, I don't know earlier. So that output should be in double quotes, and input without quotes.
Correct. The symbol is the same for both.
Symbol same, but I don't know how to identify them. So I done that. And one more thing, that is the constants.
Constant are something whose value will never change throughout the lifetime of the program. So as long as the program is running, that constant value will remain the same. Yes, Rahul?
सर वो कांस्टेंट कैपिटल में लिखा तो
It's a
चलेगा
practice. It's a practice. Across the globe, we do the same thing in almost all the languages. So we'll also follow good programming practices. Always define constant in uppercase. That's a convention. And since the same conventions followed everywhere, why not we also follow the same one? So others who are reading the program finds it easy to understand what we are doing. Rohit?
Altogether, it was a good experience. So basically, I got to know that how to break down a problem, how to define the variables.
Okay.
You can't assume the things unless it's not given. So how to, I knew the pseudo codes, but I haven't much explored the flow charts. Today I got the chance to explore that.
Okay.
Yes.
Tomorrow we'll work more on pseudo codes, but then make sure that you write and you discuss, you speak out whatever problems you are facing. ऐसा ही करेंगे, क्यों नहीं करेंगे? Sir, I feel like this. Why are you saying something different? Speak out. So once you speak out, then we can actually discuss on that issue. Shashwat?
Sir, my takeaway was to solve any problem, we should require any sequence of instructions.
Correct.
And about the flow chart, that how should we draw it and how to solve a problem through flow chart.
Okay, but promise that you'll complete all the assignments while you come for tomorrow's session.
Sir, actually my exam is going on, so I don't think that
Yes, sir.
I can
That's okay with you.
all.
Yes, sir. Even my exams are going.
Okay, okay. So you could just attend. Don't worry much. I'll leave early also. Remind me to leave early.
Okay,
Viraj?
सर हो गया मेरा
Yeah, हो गया. Shresh,
The main takeaway for me was to understand the problem before solving it and define it, so it becomes easier to solve.
but
Yes,
Shresh,
sir.
were you discussing in the team breakout room? I did not
Yes,
hear
sir.
you discussing. Were you discussing?
Yeah, sir, I was there.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
also the minute details in the flow chart. For example, the units have to be
Hmm.
mentioned properly.
Correct.
And also we cannot assume the input. If it is not present, we have to ask.
It's not present, you have to ask. If it is very clearly specified, then only we'll take it as a constant. If it is not given, we will have to ask. Okay, so the problem, we cannot make assumptions. We are nobody to make assumptions in the code. We are nobody to
Yes.
make assumptions.
So also the variables should be declared properly. I mean the syntax, and
Right?
if
Even
it
the
is
type should
constant,
be specified.
we should mention it in all caps.
Yeah.
And sir, the flow of the flow chart and the syntax, for example, the output should be in
Basic
double
rules
quotes
that
and
we should keep in mind. Okay. Agishi, is your audio restored?
Yes, sir. Am I
Tell
audible?
me. Yes.
So, teamwork के साथ how to work with team
Okay.
and how to work with flowchart in tools. मुझे वो tools new थे मेरे लिए.
So, but make sure that you solve the examples. Huh? Tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
those who don't have exams, इनके लिए compulsory assignment करके आना. जो उनके exams है, they can relax. They can actually do it later or just be a part of the discussion tomorrow. But those who don't have exams, make sure that you solve all the assignments. Have you all received the file assignments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So with that note, we'll stop here today. We meet tomorrow and we continue the further discussion. Thank you all for attending the session. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye. All the best for all those who have exams tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.